going to be the diameter of your thread depth, okay, of a nut. Now, M36, in order to start a nut construction, we've got to start with the top view. The top view then gives us all the faces in order for us to complete the front or the side views. Okay, so what we do is we work with the first thing I'll start with is across the flat. So the first thing I'm going to work out is across the flat. You cannot have the 6 tangential faces of a nut without the across the flat. What is across the flat equal to? The metric value times 1 point. I think you can remember. 1.5.
So does it always come from 1.5? Times
1.5. Okay, so the diameter for across the flat in this case is going to be 36 times 1.5, which equals 54. We're dealing with a diameter, which means we're going to have to use a radius because we've got a compass. Right, so what am I going to use? 50 divided by 2. 27.
So we just we have to multiply by 0.8?
I'm going to show you now. It's this one, a nut height. I'll show you in a moment. Okay. So we're going to go 27. This is going to give us the across the flat we require. Okay, now this is a hard edge, so we need to press a little bit.
So is across the flat, is this the outer edge of the box?
Yes, when you look at a nut from the top view, you have that raised face. You know, just slightly raised off the sides. We're just at the top of where it starts to chamfer off. Okay. Now, in order to get the faces, we're going to arrange it like this. So we're going to arrange it so that when we look at the front view, we're going to have 3 faces. Everyone happy with that? In other words, what will that look like? I'm going to use color again. No, let me use more sharper. So there, right? And then I'll take my 30-degree set square, go there, 60. So this is at 60. Okay, I'll do the same at the top.
So is this in construction or?
This is, I'm doing construction, so you can then I'll go a bit dark in a moment. Okay. What am I doing here? Am I doing the right thing? I feel like I'm losing my marbles here. Yeah, I should be. Right. Why does this not look right? Must have pushed my compass out a bit. 1, 2. What did we say? M36. Did I do? Maybe I didn't do 27. That's probably why. Let me see.
Mine is the same.
Oh, there. Look what happened. That's what happened. Okay, there we go. That is why. Can you see what happened there, guys?
Yes.
I've gone out, so let me just go out to the side again, push out. I think I slipped. You can see there's 2 holes there that I made. That makes a lot of sense. Now I'm going to get the right sizing of it. Okay. 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 Right, so now I'm going to do this in black, guys, because I've now gone and messed this up a little bit. So I'll show you the face. So we're going to be from there to there, from there to there. There. Okay, that makes me feel a lot better that we've got that sizing right. Okay, this should then override all the mess I've made in terms of your visual. Okay, obviously if I had a nice little rubber, I can come in there and just knock off that horrible looking so let's get rid of that little bit inside there. Okay, I'll have to come in and make sure my across the fat is looking good, because I'm going to get a mark for that. Remember that? Okay, good. Right. Now the 36, here's the question. Is the 36 diameter that I'm going to draw, is that going to be broken, or is that going to be a hard outline? Remember we break in the top left, right, or why? Good, because it acts as hidden. Because it's the what? It's the root of the crest. Lekker, oaks. So 36, so I'm going to take 18, right? So I'm going to take my 18 here. And that's which is going to make my 36 here. I'm going to go all the way around there, and stop. Now this thread depth should be in what we call a lighter line weight. So what we call B lines. Okay, not your A lines, which are your outlines. This should be a B line, which is about a 0.30. Okay, so we break there. Is everyone happy? So that's my 36. That's that internal thread. You know that little the internal thread, that root. Okay, now we're going to the hole that we would see through the middle. So if we're looking down through the nut, there will be that outline of the hole we see through the middle. We have to now calculate that, and to do that, we have to work on the thread depth calculation, the TD, what I call the TD. Thank you. So you take 36, the metric value, times 0.1. The metric value is 36. So I come in here, 36 times 0.1 equals 3.6, which is like 3.5. So yeah, we can work with 3.5 on our otherwise you round it up to 4 or down to 3. But try just go 3.5 here. Okay, so to go 3.5, in 3.5, I'd then go what, 18, correct? Because I was using a radius of 18, am I right? So I'd go 18 minus 3.5, because 3.5 is the depth of my thread, and it's going to be 14.5. So I go to here and I work out 14.5, which is about there. Make sure this is all in good nick. And so the internal will be 14. Sorry? No, this isn't broken. This is the actual, this is what I would see. This is the hole down the middle of the nut that I see. 14.5 was the thread depth. Remember, the thread depth was worked out to 3.5. Okay, so that means that the depth of thread from there to there. So if I can show with a little arrow, that has to be it was actually 3.6 millimeters. Does it make sense? That little bit of thread depth there. If we come right in on that. Okay. My radius from there, if you like, from there all the way to that break there, happy, was 18, because it was 36 in total, M36. So I had to take 18, I had to minus 36, but I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll just work with 3.5, round it up to 3.5, and that gave me 14.5. So the new radius to find this became what, 14.5? Or in this case, it could have been 14.4, correct? Yeah. So in actual fact, it's 14.4, but I'm not going to I'll just use 14.5. Okay, makes sense now. So that's assuming that would be my crest, and that's my root that I can't see. Okay, everyone happy with that, guys? That's done. So from a marking perspective, we're looking at, sometimes we don't double up. We'll go 1, 2, we'll go 3, because there's symmetry. We'll leave it like that. I'll give you a mark there, I'll give you a mark for your. This won't get a mark if it's not broken. Okay, so then you'll miss one for that. Okay. Happy, guys? And then obviously, what else do I need to do in this view? What's important here, guys? Here's a hole, so I've got to show what? 100%. You have to show a center line. Okay? So I'm not showing my center. Sorry? Yeah, just in your lighter or your normal pencil. Okay. Now it becomes quite simple, quite easy. I'm not going to, generally I start about 20 mils down, but I'm not going to worry about, well, maybe we should, because we're going to deflect. So let's do that. So I'm going to come down 20 mils, and then I'll start the next part of this drawing. Actually need to get some more lead in this. Okay, so 20 mils from there to there, and I can draw my margin. Okay, then now you asked me about the 0.8, okay? But before we do that, I'm just going to pull down all the faces. Now this is not very accurate because of I can see that's slightly narrower because of all my pencil crayon workings. But if that's going to be the top of the nut, so we're going to start 20 mils away, if that's going to be the top, we're going to work out the height of the nut from as it sits on the table to above. So we're going to find out where the table surface is, where that's going to be. And that's 0.8. So to get what we call NH, nut height, we take the metric value times 0.8. Okay. So the metric value here is 36 times 0.8 That gives me a total of 28.8. So I'm going to go 29. Okay, so I come over here and I take 29, come down from there 29 to there, and I project that straight across. Okay, there we go. So now we know that the nut has got to fit inside 1, 2, and 3. Now what I'm going to come and do in here, and I'm going to show you something, as I'm going to make sure that I have a center mark. I'm going to do a slightly longer center marking, and you're going to see why in a moment. I'm doing it in dark so you can see it, well, my red pen, so you can see it quite easily. Right, who remembers the construction for this now?
So I remember you have to, it's similar to when like you get like the circles and stuff, like half circles.
So you need to, your project, 60-degree projections, yes, from inside and outside corners. Okay, so all I need really is, because I've got this center line here, I really only need one. But look here, I'm going to come to the outside corner, I'm going to project a 60-degree across. Really all I need to do is that. I need to find that. Now I've got the point to arc that tangential in the middle face. Okay, the bigger face. But you'll see that if I come from this side, it should be exactly the same.
So
into the same place.
pretty much the longest corner. So
Yeah, so we're going to go outer corner to outer corner, come back at 60 degrees. Then we're going to go inside corners of the two outside faces. So we're going to go from there to there. So I'm just trying to get this big pencil crown on the right. I should have sharpened this before we started, okay? Okay, so now you end up with the Woolworths W, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so now we've got the arcing points, the points from which to arc for the faces. So what do? Quite simple here. I come and do the big one first. Now what are we looking to do? Come from there, and I'm going to arc. That's going to be my arcing, the point at which I arc. I go to find my tangential, and then I go from, and I just come, oh geez, no. My compass is giving me a hard time today. There it is there. Okay, I stop when I get to those two sides. Let me just rub a little bit of that out. Do that again. There we go. Okay, then I'm going to come into these these little faces here, and then I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm going to find my tangential point, and then I'm going to arc, and you can see how they connect. I'm going to do the same thing here. Arc, and yes, oopsie, that's not great. Okay, there we go. Okay. So those are the three chamfers I need. Not ideal. Could look a little bit better. Okay. Right. Now I can go ahead. The faces in with outline. I'll show them more clearly with my outline. This is now some nuts chamfer on the top and they chamfer on the bottom, but this one is just chamfering on the top. Now what do I have to do? Who remembers what I've got to do from each of these corners? To show that chamfer, I'm going to do a 30 degree from there, from that point there, until I come into contact with that top construction line, or the margin. So I'm going to go there, okay, and I'm going to go over there. Important to show that, those are both a mark. And then I'm going to join them along the top. There we go. I don't need to show the detail with a nut. That's it. Happy? Okay.
So you have to show the center line.
You do what you need a center line. In every one of the views, you need to see a center line. Okay. So what I'll do here then is I'm going to create a margin. I don't really need to. I could get away. You could do this without a margin, but I'm going to do it anyway. So I'm going to have to create my axis here quickly, which is going to be, sorry? Yeah, if you can. So I'm going to then work 10 mils away as my axis. So I'm going to make sure that is definitely halfway. There. Seems to be a bit far there. There we go. Okay. And now everything on my page is getting dirty. It's great. So I'm just, remember, like in normal orthographics, you've got a margin and an axis. So in other words, there we go. I'm just drawing a little axis, and then yes.
To start that nut, will they give us that center point?
Yeah, you'll get a starting point. Absolutely, yeah. And on all your drawings. Okay, because it's I need to get my 45, my little projection. Then what I can do now is bring my height across. Okay, it's all a matter of projections. Then bring my two faces. Now I've got to do face 1 and face 2, because those are going to be the faces I need to see in the right side view. Okay? Bring those straight down. There, there, and there. Okay, so we know now this nut will need to be inside those 4 points. That's the height, that's our total width or depth. Okay, this one is as easy. We're going to do 60 degrees, outside corners, but now we're not worried about arcing a middle face. So now we go to the inside corner, and we create our V's, always creating these. So this is a bit like these two. Okay, just on a bigger scale. And then I do the same thing. Sorry, I think it's my lead keeps slipping further down on this compass. Same thing, find that tangential point, arc for that face, come this side, okay, and arc for that face there. Okay, now this one is slightly different, so I'm going to get that in terms of, we don't show the 30-degree chamfers, now we actually box it in. Remember, two faces, box in. We box it in because those chamfers over there, where those faces come up, or this face here, sorry, comes up to the top there, that's going to be that point over there. So if you can imagine the view or the sight you would have, there we go. That's it. That's your two faces. Done.